Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today, because we get so little marathon news, I thought I would cover this article that was put out by Paul Tassi on Forbes. Now, for those who don't know, Paul Tassi is a Destiny YouTuber and video games journalist who's pretty highly regarded and tapped into what's occurring at Bungie and in the industry at large. On September 14th, Paul Tassi released an article titled "The Best Case Scenario for Bungie, Destiny 2, and Marathon." The article starts by outlining kind of the precarious state that Bungie is in, given the layoffs and the Christopher Barrett drama that's recently sprung up, before diving into Destiny 2's transition away from this DLC-based approach to the episodic format, which I guess is now going to be followed up with 2 smaller expansions a year. The Destiny portion of the article also talks about an upcoming mobile game before ultimately concluding that Destiny needs to release whatever content is required to basically be sustainable up until the point of Destiny 3's release, hopefully coming on the next generation of consoles. Now, there's probably some nuance to that brief description that I gave that might be a little bit different if you're more familiar with Destiny, but that's generally the summary of that before he gets into the portion that's about Marathon. So the Marathon section starts with him coming out and straight up saying, "There's no beating around the bush here, Marathon needs to be a hit." That paragraph continues with basically explaining the Helldivers 2 situation that saw a very hefty initial boom, but now has a player count around 22,000 players a night, only 7 months after its launch, and basically states that Marathon needs to be even more successful than that. Which is relevant because the studio behind Helldivers is obviously owned by Sony, and that's kind of like the live service game that they have ongoing right now that would be somewhat in the realm of the target audience that Marathon is looking for, but obviously on the PvE side of things. I also think that him putting forth this idea that Marathon needs to be a hit is kind of echoed by what we've heard from Bungie. Obviously, the news of the layoffs as like a total statement kind of was geared towards we're taking everybody who's still working here and putting them on the Marathon project, and even the people who are still working on Destiny are obviously trying to achieve smaller goals with less total content. So it does seem like Bungie itself, or maybe Sony behind them telling them what to do, is gearing up to have Marathon be the prime kind of piece of content that they are working for and planning to monetize. The article continues with him saying that he doesn't fear a Concord kind of situation occurring with Marathon, which I think most of us agree with just based off Bungie's past history, but also that it could kind of help if some of the "it's not a hero shooter" stuff from the leaks was confirmed by Bungie at some point. He concludes the Marathon-specific section with stating that if Joe Ziegler, Marathon's current game director, could guide Marathon to the same success as Valorant, which was the game he directed previously, then that would be the kind of hit that Bungie and Sony needs to basically ensure the success of the studio going forward. The article ends with him stating that everybody who's left working at Bungie is either on Marathon or Destiny, and the only other project that Bungie was developing that we know is still ongoing is Gummy Bears, but that's been moved to a studio of prior Bungie people working directly under Sony. And Paul seems to agree that that's how it needs to be. It needs to be all hands on deck for Marathon so that it can be developed into the hit success that the studio requires. Now, obviously, this article doesn't do a lot to provide new information, but it does comment on a lot of what has occurred recently at Bungie and kind of puts it into a cohesive piece that kind of positions Bungie at this state where it's make or break for all of their upcoming projects, and I think it's cool to have it laid out in this format. I also think that historically, that kind of repositions where Bungie's at right now for a lot of people. If you look at Bungie when they're working on Halo 2 or right prior to Destiny's release, the studio was also at a high-stress make-or-break situation, and obviously there they were able to live up to that pressure and release projects that were, very well received and highly beneficial monetarily for the company as well. So in conclusion, for myself, I think Paul's right. Marathon definitely has to have a great level of success, and I think that the team at Bungie realizes that, and I'm excited to see what they come up with, obviously knowing that this is going to be the next big live service project, probably from Sony as a whole. Hopefully this placement as one of the kind of front-runner IPs will push Bungie into a position where we get some new information pretty soon, and maybe this fabled showcase occurring at some point in September will pop up sooner than we think. I'll also have a link in the description below, so please read the article and then let me know what you guys think in the comments. Alright everybody, I'll see you guys later. Bye.